Aliens laughed at humanity's engines, then we left them in our lightspeed wake. The galaxy was full of light and pride that day. Hundreds of ships from every known species floated. Near the great orbital arena above Vega Prime, it was the day of the Galactic Fleet Exhibition, a day when the most powerful civilizations came together to show their technology, and as usual, humanity was the smallest and weakest one in the crowd. The other races looked down at the humans. Their ships were large, shiny, and perfect, glowing with colors never seen on Earth. In the middle of this cosmic sea, the small gray human ships looked like toys. To most aliens, humans were still newcomers, clever but slow. Across the arena, voices of laughter filled the airwaves. The trail captain shouted through the comms, "Look at the Terrans. Did they bring cargo ships instead of cruisers?" A group of blue-skinned Carthans joined the laughter. Even the peaceful Aelari smiled behind their masks. The humans stayed silent. They had heard this laughter many times before. Every year, every meeting, every race, humanity was always the joke. At the command deck of the UHS Resolute, Captain Mason watched the alien fleets on the big holoscreen. He didn't speak. He just smiled a little and folded his hands behind his back. Around him, his crew felt the same mix of anger and pride. They wanted to prove the galaxy wrong, but they also knew today was not that day. The Galactic Council's voice echoed through the system. "Welcome, members of the Union. Today we celebrate the power of progress. Let every fleet show what true engineering looks like." One by one, ships began to demonstrate their drives. The Aelari ship disappeared in a blink of light and reappeared at the other side of the system. The Tyrell cruisers created shockwaves that made nearby moons tremble. Cheers filled the air. When it was humanity's turn, silence followed. The Resolute started its old fusion engines. The sound was deep and rough, like thunder from an ancient world. Flames burst from its rear thrusters. Real fire, not the silent blue glow of alien plasma drives. The ship crawled forward, heavy and slow. Aliens laughed again. The Tyrell captain made a mocking bow through his screen. "Impressive. For a mining ship," he said. But Captain Mason did not answer. He only said one line to his crew. "Let them laugh. They don't know what waits under the surface." Far away from Vega Prime, on the dark side of the moon, another team of humans worked in silence. The world above laughed, but here, deep below the lunar crust, something secret was being built. A massive circular chamber glowed with white-blue energy. Cables ran like veins across the walls, feeding a single metal core at the center, a device so advanced that even the humans working on it did not fully understand how it worked. They called it the Horizon Drive. Dr. Keene, the lead engineer, stood beside the core. Sweat ran down his face despite the cold air. "This is it," he whispered. "If this test works, we'll change everything." His assistant looked nervous. "What if it fails like the last one?" Keene smiled faintly. "Then we'll fix it again." Humanity didn't reach the stars by quitting. He gave the signal. The lights dimmed. A low hum filled the chamber. The Horizon core began to spin faster and faster until the metal turned white hot. The energy on the monitor spiked, higher than any recorded before. And then, for exactly 0.7 seconds, the small test probe vanished. The team froze. The radar went silent. Everyone stared at the empty space where the probe had been. "Did it explode?" the assistant whispered. Before Keene could answer, the probe reappeared, glowing faintly, covered in stardust. Its instruments showed something impossible. In less than a second, it had traveled across the solar system and returned. The room fell silent. Then Keene whispered the words that would later echo through history. It worked. Back in the galactic arena, the human fleet finished their demonstration. The aliens gave polite applause, the kind you give to a child for trying. Then they turned away, continuing their celebration of their own glory. But as they did, far across the stars, a quiet signal was sent from the moon to Earth Command. "Horizon test successful. Phase 2 ready?" Captain Mason received the message hours later. He looked out the viewport at the laughing alien ships and smiled for real this time. They saw only the slow human engines. They saw only the fire and smoke. They didn't know that humanity had just broken the walls of light itself. He whispered softly, "Keep laughing, my friends. We'll see who's chasing who soon." The camera pulls back, showing the small gray human fleet among the giant alien armadas. The laughter still echoes in the distance. But under the silence of space, something new hums. the faint vibration of an engine that should not exist. Humanity has been underestimated for the last time. The laughter of the galaxy faded into silence as the human fleet left Vega Prime's orbit. The alien ships drifted away, still proud and certain that humanity would never catch up. But in the dark corners of space, far from their eyes, Earth had already stepped onto a new path. On the journey back, Captain Mason stood alone on the bridge of the UHS Resolute. The stars ahead looked calm, but his mind was racing. He had seen the message himself. Horizon test successful. The words were simple, but their meaning was heavier than any weapon the galaxy had ever known. For years, humanity had tried to match alien technology. They bought, copied, and rebuilt what others sold them. Every upgrade was just another imitation, but this time it was different. The Horizon drive was not stolen, not copied, not borrowed. It was something truly human. The world didn't know it yet. Only a few in the highest levels of Earth Command had seen the data. The test probe had done the impossible. It didn't just move faster than light, it seemed to bend around it. It traveled through space in a way no alien scientist had ever imagined. Captain Mason poured himself a cup of black coffee, looking out at the stars. "They think we're behind," he muttered softly. "But soon they'll realize we were just quiet." Meanwhile, on the moon, the research base known as Luna Station 9 came alive with excitement. Engineers worked non-stop, checking every reading, every detail of the Horizon drive test. The small team that had seen the impossible was now preparing for something far greater, a full-scale ship trial. Dr. Keene, exhausted but smiling, stood before a holographic display of the new ship. Its name was simple, the Dauntless, a medium-sized vessel designed for exploration, but secretly rebuilt around the Horizon drive's energy core. "We can't let the aliens know," Keene told his team. "If the Council learns what we've done, they'll shut us down. They fear what they don't understand." His assistant, a young engineer named Malik, frowned. "Then how do we test it? We can't exactly hide a light-speed jump." Keene tapped the side of the hologram, zooming in on a distant star system. "We don't test it near them. We test it where no one is watching, near the edge of the solar system. If it works there, humanity will never be the same again." The team nodded. Everyone in that room knew the risk. If the test failed, they could destroy the ship, or worse, tear a hole in space itself. But none of them hesitated. Humanity had always been the species that jumped before it was ready. Weeks passed. The Dauntless was quietly assembled in orbit above Mars. To outsiders, it looked like any other human ship. Gray armor, heavy engines, a simple design. But inside, behind thick titanium walls, the Horizon drive waited, silent and glowing faintly blue. Captain Mason was chosen to lead the mission. It wasn't because he was the best pilot, but because he understood what it meant. He had watched humanity get mocked and ignored for years. He wanted to be there the day it all changed. Before departure, the small crew gathered in the main bay. Dr. Keene looked at them and said, "What we're doing today will either make us legends or ghosts. If this works, no one can laugh at us again." Mason smiled. "If it doesn't work, at least we tried. That's what humans do best." The crew laughed softly, but there was tension in their eyes. Everyone felt the same mix of fear and pride. Humanity was standing at the edge of something that no one had ever crossed. When the Dauntless left orbit, the entire mission was hidden under a fake label, Deep Space Research Exercise. Not even most of Earth Command knew the truth. The ship accelerated slowly past Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn. The vast rings of ice reflected sunlight onto its hull. Finally, beyond Neptune's orbit, there was only darkness. No ships, no stations, just silence. Captain Mason stood at the command console. "Activate the Horizon core," he said. Dr. Keene entered the final code. The ship began to hum, deep and powerful. The lights flickered and every surface seemed to vibrate. Energy level rising. "Stable," Malik reported. "Core at 60%, 80, 100. A thin line of light formed across the front view screen. It looked like space itself was tearing open. Mason's heart pounded. "Engage the drive." The stars stretched. The hum became a roar. Then nothing. The Dauntless vanished. For a moment, the ship's crew felt like they were falling through light. Colors and sounds mixed together in ways the brain couldn't understand. And then, suddenly, everything was calm again. Outside the window, the stars were different. New constellations glowed around them. Dr. Keene looked at the coordinates and froze. "This can't be right," he said. We're outside the system, 50 light years away." No one spoke. The silence of victory filled the room. Captain Mason turned to the crew with a slow smile. "Mark it in the logs," he said. "Humanity has just overtaken light." The Dauntless turned its engines and jumped again, vanishing back toward home. Hours later, Luna Station 9 received the signal. A burst of coded data arrived, flight readings, coordinates, and a single line of text from Captain Mason. "It works. Humanity is ready." Dr. Keene leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. For the first time in human history, they had done something the galaxy said was impossible. And far away, across countless stars, the alien fleet still laughed, unaware that the species they mocked had just changed the meaning of speed forever. News of the human experiment spread faster than light itself, though not because the aliens knew the truth. The Horizon Drive was still a secret, hidden deep behind coded transmissions and silent faces. But something about the human fleet had changed, and the galaxy could sense it. Human ships, once weak and clumsy, had begun moving through systems faster than expected. Their trade convoys arrived days ahead of schedule. Their explorers reached colonies no one thought possible. The aliens noticed, but they didn't understand. To them it was a trick, an illusion, or maybe just luck. On Vega Prime, the Galactic Council gathered once more. Dozens of alien species filled the bright chamber, floating in zero-gravity seats arranged in a great circle. The council leader, a tall being with silver skin and a voice like wind through glass, spoke first. "The human fleet has shown unusual performance lately," he said. "Perhaps they wish to prove themselves. Perhaps they wish to amuse us." The trail commander laughed, his scaled face curling into a grin. "Humans are always amusing. Maybe they think their old engines have found new life." Laughter filled the chamber. But then another voice spoke, calm and thoughtful. The Alari representative, a being of light and mist. "Mock them if you wish," she said softly. "But remember, they adapt faster than anyone I've seen. Underestimate them too long and we may regret it." Her words were ignored, of course. Pride always speaks louder than wisdom. The council decided it was time for a show. A galactic event that would display true technological power. A grand interstellar race across the Orion Arm. The fastest, ships from every civilization would compete, and the winner would earn the title of Master of Light. It was meant to be a celebration of superiority, a reminder of who truly ruled the stars. And almost as a joke, they invited humanity. On Earth, when the invitation arrived, the United Human Command debated for days. Many thought it was a trap. Others saw it as a chance. Finally, Captain Mason spoke during the final meeting. "They laugh at us," he said, standing before the council table. "They always have. But now we have the Horizon Drive. If we stay silent, they'll keep laughing. If we accept, they'll watch us. Then they'll fear us." The room fell quiet. One by one, the council members nodded. Humanity would enter the race. A few weeks later, the Dauntless was moved from its hidden dock on Luna Station. It gleamed under the sunlight as engineers completed the final checks. No one outside the Horizon Project knew what made it special. To the public, it was simply another ship, rebuilt, upgraded, but ordinary. Before departure, Dr. Keene met with Captain Mason on the launch platform. The air was cold, filled with the hum of machinery. "Remember," Keene said, his voice low, "don't use the Horizon Drive until the moment is right. Let them laugh first. Let them believe we're slow." Mason smiled. "Understood. I'll give them a show they'll never forget." The two men shook hands. Then the Dauntless rose slowly into the sky, engines burning a soft blue. Humanity's hope followed it into the stars. The race was to begin near the gas giant Zorath 9, a massive planet surrounded by colorful storms. Hundreds of ships gathered in orbit, representing more than 50 species. Every ship was unique, some glowing with plasma wings, others wrapped in shields of living metal. And then came the Dauntless. It looked plain compared to the others. Gray hull, traditional thrusters, and no visible plasma field. The alien announcers laughed the moment they saw it. "Ah, humanity joins us again," one voice boomed through the broadcast. "Perhaps they'll finish the first checkpoint before the next century." The alien fleets roared with laughter. Inside the Dauntless, the crew remained silent. Captain Mason looked out at the endless sea of ships and smiled slightly. "They're still laughing," he said to Malik, who sat at the co-pilot's console. Malik nodded. "Just like we planned, sir." The countdown began. Massive engines ignited all around. Space shimmered with heat and light. The voice of the council echoed through the comms. "By the authority of the Galactic Union, the Orion Challenge begins in 3, 2, 1, go." The ships exploded forward, streaking across space like arrows of light. Alien vessels vanished instantly into warp jumps, leaving brilliant trails of color. The Dauntless, however, crawled behind them, its old-style engines roaring like thunder. To the watching crowds, it was comedy. To the human crew, it was patience. For hours, the race continued. Alien ships boasted across open channels, taunting the humans. "Terrans, do you need a tow?" One pilot sneered. "Maybe their engines run on steam." Another laughed. Captain Mason said nothing. His eyes stayed fixed on the readings from the Horizon core. It was charging, slowly building power. Dr. Keene's voice echoed through the encrypted channel from Luna Station. "Captain, we're reading stable buildup. Horizon core at 87%. You can jump whenever you're ready." Mason waited. The timing had to be perfect. If they revealed their secret too early, the aliens might still win by trickery. He wanted the entire galaxy to see. Then, as the Dauntless reached the halfway mark, surrounded by the endless laughter of alien comms, Mason gave the order. "Engage the Horizon drive." Malik hesitated for only a second, then hit the control. The ship went silent. The stars outside stretched into lines. The hum turned into a deep vibration that made every atom tremble. For a heartbeat, it felt as if space itself was holding its breath. Then light. The Dauntless vanished. Every alien sensor lost its signal at once. The laughter stopped mid-sentence. Confused voices filled the channels. Where did they go? Did they explode? No readings. It's like they just disappeared. Minutes later, a new signal appeared. It came from far ahead, so far that no ship could have possibly reached it yet. The Dauntless had reappeared near the finish line. The human crew stared at the screens in disbelief. They'd done it. They had jumped across the race path in seconds. Captain Mason leaned back in his chair, a slow grin spreading across his face. "Send a message to the council," he said calmly. Malik nodded. "What should I say?" Mason looked out the window at the stars and replied, "Tell them, humanity has crossed the line." Silence filled the galaxy. For the first time in the history of the Orion Challenge, the Watchers were speechless. The human ship, the Dauntless, had vanished from every radar and reappeared almost instantly near the finish line. Every broadcast froze. Every commentator stopped speaking. It was as if the universe itself could not understand what had just happened. The alien fleets, once proud and loud, drifted in confusion. The Tyrell commander stared at his display, his scaled fingers trembling. "Impossible," he hissed. "No ship can cross that distance in seconds. Their engines—" He stopped, unable to finish. The evidence was right before his eyes. The small gray human ship waited calmly near the glowing finish beacon, its hull shining in the quiet darkness. On Vega Prime, billions of citizens watched the event on giant holoscreens. They had expected to laugh. Instead, they sat in stunned silence as the human flag appeared beside the first-place marker. Inside the Dauntless, the crew could hardly breathe. Every light on the console was green. The Horizon drive had worked again, this time in front of the entire galaxy. Captain Mason stood slowly from his chair, feeling the hum of the engines fade beneath his boots. "Report," he said softly. Malik turned from the sensor panel, eyes wide. "All systems stable, no damage, no radiation spikes. Core temperature normal, sir. We did it." Dr. Keen's voice came through the communicator from Luna Station. Congratulations, Captain. The data is perfect. Every reading confirms it. Humanity has just rewritten physics. Mason exhaled and allowed himself a quiet smile. Then let's enjoy the moment, he said. But even as he spoke, the comm channels began to fill again. This time not with laughter, but with anger. Alien captains shouted across the frequencies. Humans cheated. They used teleportation! This is a trick. The Council's broadcast cut back in, demanding that the Dauntless stay where it was. Captain Mason calmly switched to the open channel. This is Captain Mason of the United Human Fleet, he said. No tricks. No teleportation. We simply moved faster than light. The line went dead for a long moment. Then came hundreds of overlapping voices. Shock, disbelief, fury. Some demanded proof. Others threatened investigation. And a few, the quiet ones, simply whispered in awe. On Vega Prime, the Council convened an emergency meeting. They could not allow chaos to spread. If what the humans said was true, every rule of galactic travel, trade, and power was about to crumble. Meanwhile, the Dauntless began its return flight. Captain Mason watched the stars flow past, their colors shifting softly through the viewport. He knew the days ahead would not be easy. The aliens would not simply accept defeat. They would test, question, and maybe even try to destroy what humanity had built. But for now, the truth was already out there, spreading faster than any message could travel. Dr. Keen contacted him again. The Council wants a live demonstration, he said. They don't believe the recordings. They want to see it with their own eyes. Mason nodded. Good, he replied. Let them see. A week later, the demonstration was arranged. Every major species sent representatives. Giant ships surrounded the testing area near Vega Prime, forming a glowing ring around empty space. At the center waited the Dauntless. For the first time, humanity was not a guest. It was the main event. Inside the control room of the Dauntless, tension filled the air. The crew had repeated the procedure hundreds of times in simulation. But this was different. This was history. Captain Mason looked at his team. Remember, he said, we're not just proving technology today. We're proving humanity belongs among the stars. Malik smiled nervously. And if it fails? Then we fix it again, Mason said simply. That's what we do. The Council leader's voice echoed through the comms. Human vessel Dauntless, begin your demonstration. The ship's lights dimmed. The horizon core began to spin. Blue light filled the cabin, bright and pure like liquid lightning. The hum grew louder until it became a deep vibration that shook the metal walls. Every alien sensor locked onto the ship. Every eye in the galaxy watched. Then, without a sound, the Dauntless vanished. The surrounding ships scrambled, searching for any trace. Their sensors flickered. Then, within seconds, the Dauntless reappeared thousands of kilometers away, exactly at the preset mark. Gasps and cries filled the airwaves. No explosion, no trick. Just a clean, perfect jump. Captain Mason's voice came through calmly. Demonstration complete. Horizon drive fully stable. Awaiting further instructions. The silence that followed was almost sacred. Even the proudest empires could not deny what they had seen. The humans had done it. They had broken the barrier that no one else could even approach. On Vega Prime, the Council leader whispered to his aides, "What have they created?" Back on the Dauntless, the crew celebrated quietly. There was no cheering, only quiet satisfaction. They knew the galaxy would never be the same again. Dr. Keen spoke through the comm once more, his voice trembling with emotion. "Captain, you've just made every scientist on Earth cry. You've made history." Mason looked out the viewport at the endless stars now within reach. "Not history," he said softly. "A beginning." He turned to his crew. "Prepare for return to Luna Station. We have work to do." As the ship moved, its engines glowed again, not the dull orange of fusion fire, but the bright blue of the horizon core. With a soft hum, the Dauntless disappeared once more into light, leaving the alien fleets behind, still staring into the empty void where it had been. Across the galaxy, the laughter had finally stopped. In its place came whispers, fear, curiosity, respect. For the first time, the word human was spoken with caution. And somewhere deep in the council chambers, the Alari representative, the one who had warned them, smiled faintly and said, "I told you. They adapt faster than anyone. The galaxy had never known silence like this. After the demonstration, every communication channel across the stars filled with disbelief. For centuries, the laws of travel had been simple and unbreakable. No ship could move faster than light. And yet the humans had done it before everyone's eyes. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, chaos reigned. Dozens of alien ambassadors shouted over each other, their voices mixing in confusion and anger. Some claimed it was a trick. Others demanded an investigation. And a few simply sat in stunned silence, staring at the holographic replay of the Dauntless disappearing into light. "This cannot be real," the Tyrell commander roared, slamming his clawed hand on the table. "They used some hidden wormhole or teleporter. No one defies physics." The Alari representative, glowing faintly in her mist-like form, replied softly, "Perhaps physics is not what we thought it was." Her calm words only made the others angrier. Pride was louder than reason, and the galaxy was too proud to accept that the youngest race among them had just changed everything. On Earth, things were very different. The people cheered. Across cities and colonies, screens lit up with the same headline, "Humanity breaks light speed." For the first time in generations, the entire species stood together, not divided by nations or politics, but united by one shared emotion: pride. In the underground control room of Luna Station 9, Dr. Keene watched the newsfeed with tired eyes. He had been awake for 3 days straight, answering calls from every corner of the planet. Everyone wanted to know how it worked. Everyone wanted a piece of the miracle, but no one outside his team would ever know. The secret of the Horizon Drive had to stay locked away. "It's starting," Malik said quietly, stepping beside him. "They're coming for it." Keene looked at the long list of encrypted messages flashing on the screen. Alien corporations, governments, even independent traders, everyone wanted the plans. Some offered money. Some offered threats. The galaxy's laughter had turned into hunger. Meanwhile, in orbit above Mars, the Dauntless was docked for inspection. Teams of scientists and soldiers worked together, scanning the ship, cleaning every inch, protecting it like a treasure. Captain Mason stayed on board, watching it all from the viewing deck. He had expected this reaction. The moment humanity did something impossible, fear was bound to follow. Dr. Keene's voice came through the comms. "Captain, the Council has sent a formal request. They want to examine the Horizon Drive." Mason chuckled softly. "Examine or steal?" There was a long pause. "Probably both," Keene admitted. "But we can't refuse them forever. If we say no, they'll think we're hiding a weapon." "We are hiding a weapon," Mason said quietly, "just not the kind they expect." He looked out the viewport at the stars, so calm, so peaceful. Yet he could feel the tension growing across the galaxy, like static before a storm. The Council's investigation began days later. A delegation of alien scientists arrived on Luna Station, claiming they only wanted to observe. But their eyes were sharp, their questions sharper. They asked about energy levels, about mass displacement, about the strange readings the Dauntless produced during its jumps. Dr. Keene answered carefully. He showed them numbers and graphs, but not the truth. He left out the one equation that made the impossible possible. One night, as the delegation slept in their quarters, Keene sat alone in the lab. He looked at the glowing Horizon core and whispered, "They'll never understand. Not because they can't, but because they don't believe we could." He thought about how humanity had always been the outside laughed at, underestimated, ignored. Now the tables had turned, and the galaxy wasn't taking it well. Across the stars, panic spread like wildfire. Shipping routes were canceled. Military fleets went on alert. Rumors began to twist the story. Some said humanity had found ancient alien tech. Others claimed they made a deal with dark energy beings. A few even believed the Dauntless had torn a hole in time. Fear is powerful, and fear of the unknown is even stronger. Several alien empires secretly sent spies toward human space. They wanted the Horizon Drive no matter the cost. If humans could travel faster than light, they could explore, trade, or even attack anywhere without warning. To the old powers, that was unacceptable. Captain Mason knew what was coming. He gathered his crew on the Dauntless for a private meeting. "The Council is watching," he told them. "But they're not the only ones. Soon others will come, not with questions but with weapons." Malik frowned. "You think they'll attack us?" Mason nodded slowly. They fear what they can't control, and we just became uncontrollable. The crew exchanged nervous glances. For a long time, humanity had been safe because it was weak. Now its strength made it dangerous. Dr. Keene joined the call from Luna Station. "We have to protect the Horizon Core," he said. "If they get their hands on it, they'll twist it into something dark." "Then we move it," Mason replied. "Hide it somewhere no one can reach." That night, under the quiet glow of Earth's moon, the Dauntless departed secretly. No public announcement, no news coverage, only a whisper through encrypted channels. Project Horizon relocating. As the ship vanished into deep space, Dr. Keene watched from the control room, his reflection faint in the window. "Let them argue," he said softly. "Let them doubt. The truth will find them soon enough." He turned off the screen, leaving the room in darkness. Outside, the moon hung silently over Earth, hiding the secret that could change the galaxy forever. And far away on Vega Prime, the Council held another meeting, this time behind closed doors. The silver-skinned leader leaned forward and whispered to his advisors, "If humanity has mastered light, then they will soon master everything else. We cannot allow that." In that moment, a quiet decision was made. If they could not understand the Horizon Drive, they would take it. Weeks passed after the Council's secret meeting, but the galaxy was no longer the same. Every world, every fleet, every government had begun to move in quiet desperation. The humans, once ignored, once laughed at, had become the center of every conversation. The Horizon Drive had turned the balance of power upside down. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a weapon. And a few whispered that it was the beginning of a new era, an era that no one was ready for. On Earth, the skies were alive with ships. Factories worked without rest, building new vessels equipped with improved engines. The blueprints of the Dauntless were studied and copied, though the secret of the Horizon Core remained hidden. Human engineers could only reproduce small versions, fast but not as fast as the original. Still, it was enough to make the galaxy nervous. Trade routes expanded. Human ships began appearing in places they had never reached before. Colonies on the edge of alien space, mining worlds, forgotten outposts. Everywhere they went, they arrived faster, stronger, and more confident than before. Captain Mason became a symbol across the worlds. To humans, he was a hero, the man who led them into the future. To aliens, he was a warning, a man who broke the one law that held the stars together. Inside the grand halls of the Galactic Council, the arguments continued. Some members demanded peace. Others whispered of war. The Tyrell commander slammed his fist on the table. "If we do nothing, the humans will spread like fire. Their ships will control every trade lane. Their fleets will reach every world before ours." The Alari representative spoke softly, her light flickering like a candle. "Perhaps that is not a bad thing. They have earned their place among us." Her words drew a wave of angry voices. "Earned, they are thieves of science. They cheated the stars themselves. They will enslave us next." The council leader raised his silver hands for silence. "Enough, we cannot fight shadows. We must see what they truly have." And so, a plan was made in secret. A coalition of powerful empires, Tyrell, Carthan, and Vurox, would send agents to infiltrate human space. Their goal, discover the true secret of the Horizon Drive, or take it by force. Far from these political halls, Captain Mason and his crew continued their missions. The Dauntless moved between distant systems, exploring and mapping regions untouched by any ship before. Every jump pushed the Horizon Core further, teaching humanity how to control it better. Sometimes, when Mason stared out at the stars, he thought about how quickly everything had changed. A year ago, they were laughed at. Now they were feared. And fear, he knew, was dangerous. Dr. Keene kept in touch from Luna Station, though his messages had grown shorter and more secret. He suspected something was coming. Strange transmissions had been intercepted, coded messages between alien fleets moving closer to human borders. One night, Mason received a message marked urgent. When he opened it, Keene's voice sounded tense. "Captain, our spies confirm the Council is dividing. Some species want to ally with us. Others want to destroy us. You need to return to Earth. Something is happening." Mason didn't hesitate. "Set course for home," he ordered. Horizon Drive, maximum range. The Dauntless vanished into the dark, leaving behind only the ripple of folded light. Back on Earth, the mood was changing. The excitement of victory had begun to fade, replaced by unease. Some feared that humanity's discovery would bring war to their doorstep. Others believed it was their destiny to lead the galaxy. In the United Command headquarters, Dr. Keene met with government leaders. He looked older now, the stress of secrecy showing in his eyes. "The Horizon Drive cannot be shared," he said firmly. "Not yet. We don't understand all of it. If someone misuses it, they could destroy entire systems." A general leaned forward. "Doctor, we need to defend ourselves." "The Council will attack eventually. You know that," Keene sighed. "Yes, I know. But if they do, we'll have to be smarter, not just faster." He looked out the window toward the stars. "They once laughed at us because we were behind. Now they fear us because we're ahead. But fear turns allies into enemies." A few weeks later, the first real sign of danger appeared. A human patrol ship near the edge of known space picked up a distress signal. It came from a small cargo vessel drifting near a dead moon. When the patrol approached, the cargo ship exploded, taking the patrol with it. The explosion wasn't random. It was bait. Hidden nearby, cloaked alien ships watched silently, recording everything. Their commanders smiled coldly. "Humans think they can outrun us," one said. "Soon we will have their engine and their arrogance will burn." On Luna Station 9, alarms began to sound. Unauthorized data scans were detected. Someone was trying to hack into the Horizon Project's files. Keene's team scrambled to shut it down. "Where's it coming from?" he shouted. "Unclear," replied one of his engineers. "It's bouncing through hundreds of relay stations. Could be alien tech." Keene clenched his fists. "They've started." He immediately sent a warning to Captain Mason. "They are coming for us. Be ready." Out in deep space, Mason received the message. He stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, eyes hard, jaw set. "So it begins," he said quietly. For a long moment, he said nothing more. Then in a calm voice, he gave the order. "Signal every human ship in range. We're no longer the underdogs. We're the storm." The crew watched as the Horizon core began to glow. The hum grew stronger, deeper, alive. One by one, the lights of the Dauntless brightened, and the ship disappeared into light, heading straight for the home they now had to defend. The balance of the galaxy had shifted. The laughter was gone. Now there was only fear and the promise of war. But for humanity, fear was nothing new. They had lived through it before. And this time they were ready. The stars were quiet when the first betrayal began. No explosions, no alarms, no warnings, only silence. That was how it always started. Far beyond Earth's orbit, in the black edges of human territory, something moved unseen. A small transport ship drifted toward a supply station, carrying crates marked as spare engine parts. The guards scanned it, saw nothing unusual, and let it dock. But inside those crates, hidden behind layers of metal and false readings, were not parts. They were living beings, alien operatives sent by the coalition of Tyrell, Carthan, and Vurox empires. They had come not to fight, but to steal. Their goal was simple: find the Horizon core, copy its design, and end humanity's advantage forever. On Luna Station 9, Dr. Keene worked late again, surrounded by the quiet hum of machines. He didn't know that danger was already aboard one of Earth's outer colonies. He was too focused on the numbers, the constant calculations of the Horizon Drive. Every day brought a new discovery, a new possibility, and a new fear. His assistant, Malik, entered the lab with a worried look. "Doctor," he said softly, "we're getting strange energy readings from Station A17. It's supposed to be offline." Keene frowned. Probably just a malfunction. But something inside him whispered otherwise. He had seen too many strange patterns lately. Too many signals bouncing between ships that weren't supposed to be there. "Send a patrol," he ordered, "just to be sure." At the same time, Captain Mason and the Dauntless were stationed near the edge of the Vega sector. Human intelligence had confirmed what Keene feared. Multiple alien ships had entered their borders under stealth fields. Mason stood on the bridge, his expression calm but his eyes sharp. "They're moving fast," Malik's voice came through the comm from Luna Station. "They're after the Horizon data. We think spies are already inside our network." Mason nodded. "Then it's time to end this quietly." He turned to his crew. "Set course for the A17 station. No lights, no beacons. We'll come in dark." The engines powered up, the Horizon core humming faintly. Moments later, the Dauntless vanished into the void. Meanwhile, at Station A17, the infiltrators had already begun their work. The lead agent, a tall Tyrell with dull green scales, moved carefully through the corridors. He spoke in whispers to his team through a translator. The humans are smarter than we thought. Keep quiet, we only need the data. Then we leave. One of the Vurox agents tapped into the system, lines of alien code flowing across the human screens. Slowly, they began downloading the Horizon files, energy diagrams, power ratios, warp equations. What they didn't know was that the files they were stealing weren't real. They were bait. Hours earlier, Dr. Keene and Captain Mason had created a plan, a trap to draw out whoever was trying to steal their secret. They knew the spies were coming, and they knew exactly where they would go. So they had filled Station A-17 with false data, fake blueprints of the Horizon drive that looked perfectly real. If the spies tried to use them, their ships would explode instantly. Now, as the aliens worked, thinking they were moments away from victory, Mason's fleet was already closing in. The Dauntless dropped out of light speed near the shadow of a dead planet. No one could see them, not even advanced sensors. Mason looked at the dark blue glow of the Horizon core and smiled slightly. Perfect place for an ambush, he said. Sir, the navigator whispered. We're in position. Station A-17 is just ahead. Activate stealth mode, Mason ordered. And prepare the EMP grid. Inside the station, the aliens finished their download. The Tyrell leader smiled, a cold, sharp smile. Finally, he said. The human secret is ours. But then the lights flickered. The air grew heavy, and a voice echoed through the comm system, deep and calm. Did you find what you were looking for? The agents froze. The voice continued, almost amused. Funny thing about stealing human technology, Captain Mason said. We like to add surprises. Before they could react, the Dauntless uncloaked directly above the station. Its engines roared to life, and within seconds, a pulse of blue light burst from the ship. The EMP wave struck the station like a thunderstorm, disabling every alien device in an instant. The infiltrators' weapons failed. Their ships went dark. The fake Horizon files they had stolen began to overload their systems, burning through their data cores. Panic filled the corridors. The Tyrell leader shouted, "Abort! We've been tricked!" But it was too late. Inside the Dauntless, Mason watched the screens. Target lockdown complete, his officer reported. All hostiles neutralized. Good, Mason said. No survivors. Send the message. Malik pressed the transmit key, sending a single coded burst to the entire sector. The message was short but powerful. You mocked our engines. Now try to catch us. Hours later, the station was empty. The alien agents were gone, their ships destroyed or captured. Human salvage teams arrived quietly, cleaning up every trace. Dr. Keene arrived soon after, stepping onto the Dauntless's bridge. He looked tired but proud. You did well, Captain, he said. They'll think twice before trying again. Mason smiled faintly. They won't stop, Doctor. Fear makes people desperate. Keene nodded slowly. Then let them come. Every time they do, we'll remind them who we are. He looked out at the stars glowing softly beyond the glass. Once they laughed at us for being slow. Now they fear us for being fast. Maybe that's just who we are, humans who never stop moving forward. The Horizon core pulsed behind them, its light like the heartbeat of a new age. The Dauntless turned toward deep space, engines glowing brighter. Somewhere, far away in a hidden chamber on Vega Prime, the Council watched the transmission from Mason. The silver-skinned leader stared at the screen, his expression dark. They've humiliated us again, he said. No more tricks. No more diplomacy. His voice hardened like metal. Prepare the fleets. If humanity wants a war of light, they shall have it. The call for war spread through the stars like wildfire. The Galactic Council, once calm and proud, now spoke only in threats. Fleets gathered, weapons charged. Every empire prepared for the same goal, to destroy humanity before it became unstoppable. But Earth was ready. For the first time in history, all human nations stood united. No borders, no politics. Only one command: protect the Horizon drive at all costs. The skies above Earth glowed with thousands of ships. Some old, some new, all carrying the same symbol, a blue circle of light, the mark of the Dauntless. What had started as one secret experiment had become the heartbeat of an entire civilization. Captain Mason stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, staring at the endless fleet beyond his window. He could see ships from Mars, Luna, Titan, even the colonies beyond Neptune. Every one of them waited for his signal. Dr. Keene appeared on the hollow screen, his face calm but his eyes heavy with worry. "They're coming, Mason. The Council fleets left Vega Prime 2 days ago. By morning, they'll reach our borders." Mason nodded slowly. "How many?" "Too many," Keene replied. "But they don't understand what we can do now." He paused, then added quietly, "This might be the last time we talk." Mason gave a faint smile. "Then let's make sure it's a talk worth remembering." As the alien armada entered human space, the stars themselves seemed to move. Massive ships miles long filled the void, their hulls glowing red and silver. Every species that once laughed at humanity was now ready to crush it. The alien commander's voice echoed across open channels. "Humans, you have stolen power that is not yours. Surrender your technology and we will spare your worlds." Mason listened in silence. Then he stepped forward, eyes cold as ice. "This power was never yours to give or take. We didn't steal it. We built it with blood, failure, and courage. If you want it, come and try." And with that, he cut the channel. The battle began. Thousands of ships moved at once, light streaking across the dark. Missiles flashed, plasma bolts burned, and the emptiness of space filled with fire. Human ships were smaller and weaker, but faster. The Horizon Drive let them dance through enemy lines like ghosts. Every few seconds, another human ship vanished in a flash of blue light and reappeared behind enemy formations, firing from impossible angles. Alien commanders screamed in confusion. Their scanners couldn't track the movement. No one had ever fought like this before. "Report!" Mason shouted. "Enemy fleets are collapsing on the right flank," his officer replied. "They can't keep up with our jumps." "Then push them back," Mason ordered. "Let them see what human engines can really do." Meanwhile, Dr. Keene worked deep beneath Luna Station 9, monitoring the battle through data feeds. His team shouted numbers and coordinates as the war unfolded. Every time a Horizon ship jumped, the station shook slightly as if space itself was breathing. Then the screens flashed red. "Doctor!" Malik cried. "The alien flagships are charging a planet-buster cannon. It's aimed at Earth!" Keene froze. The weapon was massive. A single blast could wipe out an entire planet. They had to stop it, but the Dauntless was too far away. Unless... Keene stared at the data and whispered, "No, it's too dangerous." Malik looked at him. "What is?" Keene took a deep breath. "If we overload the Horizon core, it can fold space around that weapon, trap it in its own gravity. But it'll destroy the ship." Silence filled the room. Then he sent the plan to Mason. When Mason read the message, he didn't hesitate. He looked at his crew. "You all know what this means." His navigator's voice shook. "If we do this, we won't make it back," Mason smiled softly. "Then we'll go out faster than anyone ever has." The Dauntless turned toward the enemy flagship. All other ships cleared a path. The alien fleet focused their fire, trying to stop it. But the Horizon core burned brighter, bending light and space around it. Dr. Keene watched from Luna, whispering a single word, "Goodbye." Inside the Dauntless, alarm screamed as the ship pushed its limits. The Horizon core glowed like a miniature star. Mason gripped the controls. "On my mark," he said quietly. 3, 2, 1. The Dauntless jumped. For a single, impossible second, it moved faster than thought. It appeared inside the heart of the alien armada, right in front of the planet-buster cannon. The enemy barely had time to react before the Horizon core released all its energy. A blinding wave of blue light filled the void. The cannon twisted, folded, and vanished into nothing, taking half the enemy fleet with it. And when the light faded, the Dauntless was gone. Silence returned to space. Hours later, the surviving human ships regrouped. The alien fleets, broken and terrified, retreated beyond their borders. No one pursued them. The war was over. On Luna Station, Dr. Keene stood before a giant screen showing the empty space where the Dauntless had vanished. He whispered softly, "He did it. He saved us all." Malik placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do you think he's gone?" Keene smiled faintly. "No, he's out there. Somewhere beyond the light. Years passed, humanity rebuilt stronger than ever. The Horizon Drive became the core of a new era of peace and exploration. No longer mocked or ignored, humans were now leaders among the stars. Even the alien empires began to learn from them, to follow their example. A statue was built in Earth's orbit of Captain Mason, standing tall beside a model of the Dauntless. Beneath it were carved the words, "They laughed when we tried to fly. They feared when we learned to run. But when we reached light, they finally understood. We were never racing them. We were racing ourselves." Dr. Keene visited the monument often. Sometimes he'd look up at the stars and whisper, "Wherever you are, Captain, thank you." And out there, far beyond known space, where light bends and time slows, a faint blue glow drifted among the stars. The pulse of a ship still moving, still exploring, still faster than light.